For now, happy to report. Okay. So, of course, blogs have grown tremendously over a number of years. And they're especially popular in Japan. I don't know if this has changed in the last few years. Blogging has fallen off a little bit in a lot of the world when other newer technologies have come forward. But at least at one year, 2006, there were more blogs in the world in Japanese than in any other language. Blogs on a whole range of topics, and basically sort of more personal journal type blogs, to more informational blogs, to more argumentative blogs. How many of you have a blog? And how many of you sort of spend a good amount of time reading blogs? There was a really, really interesting article by Susan Herring from Indiana and some of her colleagues. You know, one of the ideas that some of us hit on early on was the idea that one of the things that makes computer-mediated communication so powerful for language learning is it's kind of an intermediary between speech and print. Speech has always been used for interaction, whereas print has been used for sort of archiving and making something permanent. And that was the power. That's why it was very powerful for the development of commerce, when people were writing in clay, that you could keep a permanent record of something. But the permanence you got through writing came at the sacrifice of interactivity. It was usually very one-way and it wasn't interactive. You know, an author would write a book, but you wouldn't talk to the author. Well, computer-mediated communication helped fill kind of this intermediary role. Because on the one hand, it was written, it was recorded, it was archived, but on the other hand, it was very interactive and could bring together a lot of people around the world. So computer-mediated communication, CMC, kind of plays this intermediary role between speech and writing. Well, Herring's analysis was interesting in that within computer-mediated communication, blogging also played an intermediary role. So it was like intermediary within the intermediary. On the one hand, they looked at standard HTML documents, and those were which are like home pages, infrequently updated. Infrequently updated, asymmetrical broadcast, which means one person is broadcast doing most of the broadcasting, other people are not. They use a lot of multimedia. And then they looked at things that were much more interactive, like email or chat rooms or forums or this or that, constantly updated, symmetrical exchange, text only. And then you have blogs, which are kind of, somewhere in between, frequently updated. There's exchange, but it's a little asymmetrical. One person might be blogging, another person might be posting comments. The text predominates in blogs, but it's not as more multimedia than email. So it was very asymmetrical, and one of the scholars of American democracy, American, European? Tocqueville. Is he a European? French. Maybe he's French. One of the scholars of democracy, of democratic thought in the 19th century, talked about how in order to have democracy, you needed to have two technologies. One is you needed to have the newspaper. You couldn't have democracy without newspapers, because the newspapers were a way that new ideas could be disseminated to the public. And on the other hand, you needed to have the town hall, because the town hall was the place where citizens could come out and argue things about, and that those were the two central technologies of democratic society. What's fascinating to me is that blogs bring both of them together. Blogs function like a newspaper in that people can broadcast their ideas, and they also function like a town hall in that they can become very interactive. So, of course, blogs might be supplanted by, they're already partially supplanted, they might be supplanted in the future. But I think when we think of global literacy that we're talking about before and learning to kind of interact in an English-speaking world, blogs play an interesting role and they combine both broadcasting and interaction.